All right, welcome into the Big Hitters Only podcast. I think you should be listening to this on Friday morning or Saturday, even Sunday or Monday. But we did 2 interviews live from ACC Media Days in Charlotte. I want to set them up for you. Guys, first, remember to rate, review, and subscribe and follow Big Hitters Only podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And tell your friends, we're growing this organically. We're trying to get some sponsors here soon. We need to get the numbers up on all those platforms, and follow us on Instagram, engage with us on Twitter. But Big Hitters Only, tell a friend today. We're pumping out great content. All right, we're going to go with Joe Giglio first, former News Observer beat writer for NC State, currently a co-host of the OG podcast in Raleigh. I know a lot of UNC fans aren't big Giglio guys, but good friend of mine, good perspective on NC State. I want to talk about Dave Dorn, NC State football, and then also a lot of UNC football and Mac Brown, kind of what's going on with the state of the program right now. And then we're going to go right into a really good, I think, 30-minute podcast interview with Rodd Baxley, the Fayetteville Observer. Rodd is a good buddy of mine, and we talk all basketball, all ACC basketball, a lot of UNC, a lot of Duke, a lot of just general ACC stuff in our takes here from ACC Media Day. It's a good way to get set for the ACC basketball season, to learn more about Duke and Carolina and Wake and Louisville and some other teams to know. And Rodd's a really good basketball mind, covers all 3 triangle teams and pretty locked in to the game of basketball and ACC basketball. So I hope you enjoyed both interviews. First, Joe Giglio for a little bit, and then we'll go right into the Rodd Baxley interview on the Big Hitters Only. Guys, have a great weekend, and remember to share this podcast. And then next week we're going to have Joel Berry, I think on Monday or Tuesday, so make sure to look forward to the Joel Berry interview. Caught him here in Charlotte as well. We got Joe Giglio from the OG, first time appearance,
Yeah,
the Rowback sweatshirt.
taking it.
We're here at the Hilton in downtown Charlotte for ACC Media Day. It is Wednesday, October 9th at 5:20. It's about quitting time. I wanted to grab Joe for a quick kind of 15, 20-minute conversation. I want to talk football. We're here at Basketball Media Day, but football. First, let's start with NC State. What's going on there? What's going on with Dave Dorn? Your thoughts on that program. Then I want to get into UNC and the kind of broader scheme of what's going on with North Carolina schools in the ACC right now. So, Dorn, they're sitting at, what's their record right now?
3-2.
3-2, coming off a loss to Wake.
Oh, 3-3.
3-3, just
Yeah.
like UNC.
Yes.
Coming off a loss to Wake. McCall goes down. Another concussion, we think.
Oof. Well, that was gross.
What are Wolfpack fans like? What is the state of the program right now?
NC State fans are mad right now, and I'm not quite sure why this loss to Wake Forest, out of all of the losses, is triggering them to this point. I'm having a hard time kind of processing it as to why this one is the one. You lose to Tennessee the way that NC State did. You lose to Clemson the way that NC State did. This team was announcing to you who they are, and what the problems that they're going to have this season. So the way I looked at it, after Clemson, they had 8 games. I figured all 8 of them would be coin tosses. Well, the first coin toss was Northern Illinois. They won by a score. Second coin toss was Wake Forest. They lost by a score. So I know the expectations were different before the season started, but again, given what they told us in their performance against Tennessee and in their performance against Clemson, I don't know why that particular loss to Wake Forest would send you over some sort of Dave needs to go edge, right?
It does seem like I'm seeing a lot more of that on Twitter.
A lot.
I don't know if it's because of the new algorithm. I'm seeing a lot more Dave Dorn hate than
Twitter, my texts, our show, the phone calls that we take.
Do you think it's Wake because of Wake and the history
it is.
of that?
It is. That's part of it.
Because he lost a big one against them. What?
2 of them.
17
and 18.
They were top 10 one year, right?
Yeah. Well, 17, 18, and then in 21, they had a chance to win the ACC and lost to Wake. Wake ended up going to the ACC championship game, and they lost to Pitt. So
what do you think happens?
Now?
Let's go for next. No, the rest of the season. Let's say they go 7-5. Or
Yeah.
They go 8-4.
7-5, 6-6 seems in play.
Yeah.
I mean 5-7 seems in play.
All right. So yeah.
I'm being serious.
I think UNC could lose out. I think they could lose every game. They could also win a good amount of games.
Yeah, I think Carolina and State are in similar boats in that they're about to play a bunch of games they could either win or they could lose.
Because no one's good in the ACC.
And it will depend on what time is the game, how what happened with the quarterback's girlfriend, what happened, with the defense. Did they line up correctly? Did they get their run fits right? Did they not give up these big plays? Those are the kind of things those are the kind of things making these, the differences in these. Did you make a kick? Like the Minnesota game, right?
Yeah, missed kick.
So, I mean, it's a coin toss to me.
So we're sitting here heading into the UNC game in November, NC State. And, 5, 6, 6 and 6, 8 and 4. Like, what? They're gonna make a coaching change in Raleigh?
No,
there's no way, right?
No, they will not.
So what has to happen? You think where they have to make a decision on Dave Dorn? Like, what would be the bottoming out of this program?
Well,
I don't think this team is that good. I don't think the expectations should have been as high as they were.
You were on this. You were an early mover on this, actually.
The 7-5 prediction.
Yeah. 7-5 might be right on the nose.
I can't wait if that hits.
I've been trying to tell people that NC State, North Carolina, pretty much every program that's not Alabama, Georgia, Texas at this point, Ohio State, you're all in college football's middle class.
Yep.
And, the way that NC State had performed under Dave Doran was every 3 or 4 years, they would appear to have a team that would have a look or a chance at the ACC championship or the division title, right? And obviously being on the side they were, that meant you had to get through Clemson. They finally get through Clemson in 21, right? And that's all you can kind of hope for as a best case scenario, in my opinion. Because these schools, you take into account Duke, Wake Forest, East Carolina, App State, heck, throw Charlotte in there now. They seemingly have some good players as well. Your pie is split up way too much in this state. So the only way to differentiate yourself in this state is to get good players from other parts. Mac Brown forever was able to go into Tidewater and get really good players. Chuck Amato, when he was running hot, was able to go into Florida and get good players.
Quarterback is a differentiator. I think if you like Sam Howell and Drake May, if you have a good quarterback, you can punch
Charlotte guys.
Weight.
Yeah. And Charlotte in the last 20 years has really emerged as the spot to go and get players from. Carolina's always had a bit of an advantage of recruiting in Charlotte. So that's helped them. Obviously on the quarterback side, it's helped them. But the way I look at it, they're very similar programs. And it's just, where are you in that cycle? Carolina was on the high end of that cycle last year. State thought they would be on the high end of the cycle this year. Truth of the matter is, Ross, you lose a player like Peyton Wilson, and I know we sat here, I was about 10 feet from here when we asked Dave Dorn about it. And it was, our defense is going to have a chip on its shoulder. People keep saying, what will you do without Peyton Wilson? And, to me, that's number one going into the season. I had 2 big questions about NC State, and both of those answers have come back negative for them. One was, what do you do without Peyton Wilson? He was an eraser. And I get it. Guys can't be eligible forever, even though he was eligible for 6 years, right? But you got to move. At some point, you got to move on. My second big question for NC State was, will they accept that they probably have to win football games this year by scoring points and outscoring teams and getting to 38, 42, 45 points? And A, they can't score that much. And B, as they showed against Wake Forest, after they go up 30-20, he's not willing to continue to put the gas down on offense to try to win games by outscoring teams. And that is to the detriment of what their personnel fits. Because they have more players, I think, on offense than they do on defense. They have more difference makers on offense than they do on defense.
Well, I think people thought McCall was going to be a lot better than he is.
Yeah, he struggled from the jump.
Yeah, he hasn't ever looked good. He's looked average.
He has not looked comfortable. David Hale wrote, ESPN wrote a really good story about the concussion issues that he went through last year.
Yeah.
Which I don't think was commonly known until he had written that story. And when I read that story, I thought to myself, well, his unwillingness to run against Western Carolina now makes more sense.
Is he nervous to get hit?
I would think. Wouldn't you, if you were in the hospital with a concussion and missed 6 games last year?
Brutal hit,
right? And
so,
then you have the situation this year where it's twofold. You're thinking, well, I won't have to run as much. Well, if that's part of your success and what made you good at Coastal Carolina, it's probably what you should try to do at NC State. I thought they went into the year thinking that wouldn't have to be part of his game. And then I thought he was uncomfortable. He looked tentative. He looked like a guy who missed 6 games last year.
Yeah. He's not gonna play another down, is he?
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would have thought the Louisiana Tech concussion issues would have helped him on that front as well. But obviously he has been stubborn, and I understood why you would take the money that he did to play this season for NC State. But I think it should be clear to everyone in his family and himself that it's time to turn the page.
Yeah, let's look at the schedule here that Wake has left. Syracuse, Cal, bye week, Stanford. Man, they got back-to-back California games. Duke, Georgia Tech, yeah, UNC. It's like same thing. Like all these games are winnable, but Syracuse,
or could lose.
Yeah, they could lose out,
Yeah.
lose them too. Like Georgia Tech, Duke.
Yeah,
Stanford might be the easiest one on the schedule, and it's going to come down to
you
build against UNC. It's
right.
gonna,
You would have said that Wake was the easiest one at home.
I know.
Wake kind of in disarray on defense.
I mean, I thought UNC going at Duke with the new head coach, Duke was going to be one of UNC's easiest games.
Sure,
Put that as a W.
Sure.
And so I do think it's going to come down. Both teams either 5-6 or 6-5 heading into the matchup in Chapel Hill.
It feels that way, yeah.
I stepping back, I think there was a lot of hype on this season. Like I saw like college football playoff expectations.
That was insane.
The ACC championship game.
The betting market for NC State to make the college football playoff was 3 or 4 to 1. That do we curse on your podcast?
Say whatever you want.
That makes no fucking sense. That never made any sense.
The hype was there.
No, I know, but like, I like to tell people, I think of it this way. If NC State were to make the playoff in college football, wouldn't you want more of a payoff than $300 on your $100 bet?
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills were the Super Bowl favorites last year at 4 to 1. And I'm thinking to myself, if the Buffalo Bills ever win the Super Bowl, I want like $1 bazillion for that payout. I don't want a 5 to 1 payout for that.
I think
so. It just never made any sense to me. And I know a lot of it was based on the schedule.
Yeah, and I think that's where the hype, where like disappointment comes from now. People are like, fire Dave Doran, because the hype was at all-time high. You had the good quarterback.
Yeah.
You had the stud receiver coming back. You paid your players. Got the
spend a bunch of money in NIL.
What's it called? Wolf leg. What's the NIL called?
I think it's one Wolfpack, maybe Wolfpack 1.
Savage Wolves.
All Wolfpack. No, they changed their names.
Yeah, they combined.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough NC State talk. Let's get to Carolina here. This is why people are listening. Big Carolina following.
Yes.
What do you think? How do you think Carolina fans should feel right now? 3-3, 3 straight losses, 0-2 in the ACC, hosting Georgia Tech this weekend. Mac Brown at 72.
Yeah.
Like, where is your mind if you were a UNC fan?
I know one thing that UNC fans do not like is when I tell them what to think.
Is you
and me in general, right?
If I had Andrew Carter on too, it's gonna be
yeah. You're good. But I would just say this: I said before the year, I said it multiple times in the summer, that James Madison game was going to be a problem, and
boy, did
it turned out. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I didn't see 70 points coming.
Yeah, I was there,
especially after the Minnesota game. It felt like, you know what? Maybe they do have their defense figured out. Turns out Minnesota's just really shitty on offense. Is what we really learned from that game. So
Minnesota just upset USC.
They did. I look at Carolina, and if you're a Carolina fan, you want to say thank you to Mac Brown for coming in 19 and changing the way that the football program is perceived, adding some excitement to Carolina football. But the truth of the matter is, I've been in the triangle and covering this stuff for 30 years now. And it doesn't matter who the coach is at Carolina. They're going to be able to recruit. Now, maybe not at Butch Davis's top 10, top 15 level, but they're still going to get players. Yep. They're always going to get players. So the old idea that you needed Mac to be some sort of genius recruiter that he was in his prime, I think that's past. I think it really is a matter of how does your NIL go about finding players. So if Mac is not great at recruiting, which
it's gone down a little bit,
sure. If he's not that, we already know his in-game stuff is not his strength. So what's left? Is he good at PR? At this point, he's not even good at PR because he was bringing up the NC State game and the pieces of shit comment during recruiting signing day, which made no sense.
Yeah.
And then
his only strength now is donors.
Right. the 5 or 6,
people.
right? The 5 or 6 that he claims were the ones that saved him.
Yeah, I mean,
so, and I'm really not trying to denigrate what Mac has meant to Carolina football, because I was around the first time around and the success that he had, because I say middle class, he had them in that upper level. He had them as a top 10 program. In my lifetime, in my time covering these schools, he's the only one I've seen have a top 10 program.
Consistently, a couple years.
He did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
He's the only one I've seen do it. Okay? NC State's never been in the top 10. Duke's never been in the top 10. ECU, App, you name it. They haven't finished in the top 10. He's the only one to do it. And he did it the first time around by dominating the in-state opponents and by recruiting in the state of Virginia. This time around, I don't know. You know way more about recruiting in this roster than I do. The defensive players who have allegedly been added or whoever are still there, I don't see difference makers on defense. And then it's hard to have 5 years of an NFL quarterback. And then even with Amari and Hampton this year, and as much as he's meant to the team, you're looking at guys you're kind of scratching your head a little bit over some of these recruiting rankings. Like,
yeah,
where are some of these guys? What happened? And I don't know all of that.
I talked to someone kind of locked into inside the program, and it's like the good players they've had, the recruit, they just haven't had talent. Like, even the good players they've gotten, the 5 stars, have not panned out. And the really, really good players you think would do well have not performed. They don't have the talented players.
Yeah.
They've been boosted by 2 once in generation quarterbacks, and they just don't have good players. They've never had an offensive line under Mac. Probably
it's been a struggle.
It's been an average offensive line to below average. They've had 2 good
going back to Sam Howell's last year. The offensive line was the real problem.
The quarterback's always been running for their lives. So even when you do have a good quarterback, they've been hamstrung by a bad offensive line. Defense has been below average.
Sure.
I think every year they have a couple good players here and there, but the talent is not there, and it's kind of showing now that they just lack. They lack a downfield threat wide receiver. They lack a wide receiver this year. It's showing it, and now they don't have a quarterback because it's all compounded.
What I would say though, if I was a Carolina fan, this isn't the old math. You don't have to have a genius recruiter anymore. You don't have to have a brilliant X and O guy. You need to have a strong collective.
Yeah.
You know,
it's hard to accept that.
Last year, I was advocating for Carolina to move Mac Brown to some sort of general manager of your collective and hire Arthur Smith to get FedEx money. That was my play for Bubba Cunningham. That was my play for Carolina.
I think an admin fundraising role for Mac is perfect. Like,
who loves the school more than he does? Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe Roy. But
I'm not sure Arthur Smith is who you want as head coach. He's not exactly the charismatic.
Hey man, I'll take the money.
Yeah. I think that's going to start giving to the collective.
Why would if my kid was the coach?
He should.
I would give a shit ton of money to the school.
All right. Well, I need to get new voices in here to talk.
Yeah, man.
UNC, and it was good to get NC State.
They're in similar boats, man.
It's crazy.
And I feel like some of the more level-headed calls we've gotten on the OG have been, "Hey, I'm a State fan. Can we in Carolina just call a truce this year?" Because it's like we are really living parallel lives right now.
Who did they lose to in the James Madison weekend?
State. Oh, they got smoked by Clemson. They didn't show up in the first half of that football game.
Either fan base could talk shit.
Right.
Because, I didn't see much because UNC was getting killed. But then we looked at the Clemson score.
They didn't show up in the first half of the football game.
Killed. No one could talk.
It's embarrassing.
So I think UNC fans are very.
Have you had Armando Baycott on this program yet?
Need to. It's buddy.
Okay. Let's get it going. Theo, you have a Theo yet?
No. I can probably get Theo.
Come on, big hitters.
Joel.
Let's go.
But I think UNC fans are kind of at that point where everybody is now. I'm interested in where State goes. Like
football?
Doran. No, it's just like
they're not going to get rid of Doran.
I know they're not, but like I feel like fans have always been tepid on him, even though he is what he is. You kind of know what you're getting.
It's year 12.
They've always been
right.
Yeah, it's like you know what you're getting. You're gonna have these years like.
What's the mystery?
But he's got a very high floor. So in a year like this, where the expectations are higher and he doesn't live up to them, there's always gonna be that fan. Fans be pissed. That's what we're having right now. All right. ACC Media Day. Recording here. Appreciate your time, Joe. ACC Media Day for basketball. The second day of it. Actually, third day of it. Can't forget about the women on Tuesday. This is going to be kind of a loose pod with Rodd Baxley of the Fayetteville Observer and USA Today, kind of breaking down everything from the last 2 days of ACC men's basketball. Rodd, what's going on?
A lot of basketball, man. I mean, I don't know if we found out anything new here after having all the separate media days with Duke, NC State, and Carolina. But, I mean, you get to chop it up with these other schools and get to know them a little bit. With 18 teams, man, I mean.
Is it 18 or 17?
18. Well,
Okay.
we forget about Notre Dame because
That's
they're
right,
not
that's
a
right.
part
Not
of the football.
yeah.
But 18 in basketball. So try to cover the bases and get to know these guys.
Yeah, for those who have not been to a media day or media days, they happen for football and basketball, and they bring in every coach and usually 2 or 3 players.
Yeah.
And then all the media is here. So you have, every website represented, all the radio, all the little fan blogs, all the capital J's.
All the capital J's.
You have some national reporters here. You had Field of 68 here with John Fanta.
Yeah.
So it's really a place you can talk to any coach, any player, and it's a big networking thing for us
Yeah.
as well. What was one? It's fun. It's fun. I look at this as almost like you try to get a story tour out, but it's also just kind of a fun chance to all come together because we really don't all get together, but 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
What was one player or one coach or one program that kind of stood out to you?
I mean, I was talking to the Boston College guys today, man. I mean, we don't get to talk to these teams ever because we're covering Carolina State, Duke. But, I mean, talking to them, they were talking about going through Navy SEAL training, like in the off season, and waking up at like 4, no electronics. They were like confined to the gym in the locker room and just doing all this man stuff with carrying logs and loaded with water.
It's
And
part of that program, right? That Navy SEAL program.
yeah, they said they did it for a week, I think, and they were pretty intense. So that was interesting. I mean, outside of that, I mean, you get R.J. Davis talking about, the all-time scoring record and pace and who's going to be rebounding and playing defense for the Tar Heels, and then Hubert firing off on NIL.
Yeah.
So,
I
don't know if it was anything new today that we learned, but, I mean.
I think one thing that was crazy is this crazy thing about is the introduction of Cal and Stanford to the league. And there were obviously some people writing some stories about how that travel is going to be affected. Yeah. Because I hadn't really thought about it, but you're going to have teams going out there, and when they go out there, they play both teams. They go out like Cal on like a Wednesday, and then Stanford on a Saturday, I think, or something like that. And then if you think about Cal coming over here, they're probably going to come over for 2 games, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's how they scheduled it out.
So you have Cal coming over, maybe they're playing Clemson, and they bus up and play State over a week span. And it's just wild, these cross-country flights. And you mix in SMU, which is kind of in the middle. So I thought that was an interesting angle.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to download a lot of movies, man, for these flights that get their schoolwork.
You finally realize how little academics are playing into these decisions.
Yeah, I mean, at places like Stanford, it's obviously different.
Yeah.
Because there's the emphasis there with the school and their big-time academic record. But, I mean, these guys are never going to be in class with all these road trips. It's crazy.
One of the Stanford players, Stojakovic, Cal player, he was saying how they come 2 days early. So let's say, for example, if the game is on a Tuesday, they're flying in on a Sunday night. Yeah. Like to Chapel Hill, flying RDU'd, and then they're spending, they're sleeping in on Monday, and they're resting. So they have all Monday just to dick around. And then Tuesday is like their game prep, where usually a team flies in the night before. So if you're going to Boston College, UNC flies up, gets in at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. to BC, and then the next day they have a full day before the game. Yeah. They're gone. They're getting there 2 days early.
Yeah. I mean, their body clocks are going to be jacked up.
And then the times, if a team goes out to play on the West Coast, those tip-offs will be late, right?
Yeah. I mean, you would think. And
the times been released for
they've got times on some of these games. I mean, you're going to see a lot more 9 p.m. tips, I would imagine, on the East Coast.
I think
with these teams.
Would you see a 10 or 11 tip for like a UNC game?
I mean, I think so. I mean, we're kind of used to that with some of these teams, because of the NCAA tournament, these late windows, you got games starting at like 9:45 and 10 p.m. So it's not like completely outlandish, but we're just not used to that in, the regular season with all these.
I wonder if the ACC network, they would want the East Coast games to be wrapped up by 11.
You would think so.
If it's a West Coast game, but their viewership, UNC or Duke or State, is going to be mostly on the East Coast.
Yeah, but I mean, you got 18 teams. Everybody's playing 20 games. I mean, you got to fill out the schedule somehow, man. It's crazy.
Let's see. What else stood out to you? Anything else? We saw Pat Kelsey.
Pat Kelsey, a lot of energy, man.
I mean, just new head coach.
I mean, I think they're going to be really good, man.
Really?
I think I picked them like 3rd, 4th.
It's been my ballot.
They've got a lot of experience. I mean, it's like an expansion team
And then
with
12
transfers.
12 transfers, and I guess 3 or 4 freshmen.
Yeah, I mean, Chucky Hepburn, Wisconsin guy, great defender, probably going to be the head of the snake, so to speak. Terrence Edwards, everybody remembers him from James Madison when they beat Wisconsin and then played Duke. Javon Hadley from Colorado. They've got some dudes, man. And then Kelsey, I mean, he's won everywhere he's been, and he just brings a different level of energy. So I think they're going to be pretty good.
He's a funny guy. I was excited to talk to him because he has kind of a reputation on social media, videos. I mean, he was talking openly about thinking fans are donating to the NIL.
Yeah, I mean, he's close to tears, man, talking about the fans.
Yeah, he was like, man, a family that doesn't have much, and they give $5 to Louisville Collective means so much to them. And just as we appreciate them just as much as we appreciate someone who gives $500,000. He is, dude. He's not much older than me. I mean, he's early 40s.
Full of energy.
But it's a new generation of coach where they're utilizing social media. They're playing to the fan base in terms of NIL.
You have to play the game.
Yeah, I'm just to see how he does. I mean, he's very short. He's high energy. He has black rim glasses.
Yeah.
He alphaed me up the escalator when I met him.
With the handshake.
So that was fun. I mean, I've been asking every coach about NIL and transfer portal. It's kind of been my angle as I gather quotes for CBS's national articles. Any stuff you got good on that about NIL and transfer portal and kind of the new topics that are obviously the hot topics these days? I
mean, I didn't touch on that too much with the NIL and transfer portal stuff. I was just curious to know with these new teams, how much do they know about the ACC? What's their history with this coming in? Do they know these players? Do they know these programs? Obviously, they know Carolina and Duke, but a lot of these guys are talking about 2015 being their first memories of the ACC, like Duke winning a national championship. I'm like, oh my God, it's not that long ago, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, their knowledge of the league pretty good, and all of them were like, man, we think this is historically the best basketball conference. Yeah, I mean, they all said that. I know they're going to say it, but you could tell it wasn't like the canned response. They kind of came up within a normal answer where they were like, it's good to be a part of, playing Carolina and Duke and all these schools.
Carolina and Duke carry so much weight name brand.
Yeah.
I think more so as much as a Kansas or Kentucky.
Yeah.
Not more so. I mean, Duke just has that kind of private school name. It's one syllable. UNC has the Jordan brand, the color. One thing lastly on Kelsey, I thought it was very interesting at spring coaches meetings, which you have all these coaches and ACC officials, everybody associated with the sport, go to I think it's Florida, where they have
some island somewhere.
I'm not sure if it's coaches from all the sports, but it's definitely all the basketball coaches. And they talk and they share stories and they share ideas and try to pass legislation to improve the game. And I don't know, it's a huge networking thing. But he said that he felt the pressure of bringing Louisville back as a power because of the traditional, how good traditionally Louisville's been and how important it is for the ACC.
Yeah, it is.
So you have Duke, UNC, I would say Virginia, Louisville.
Yeah.
Maybe State. I mean, those the big
State.
names.
Yeah, the big names. I mean, Pitt's always in the mix.
They need Louisville.
But they need Louisville to be good. I mean, you've seen it last few years, man. Louisville has pulled the entire league down by being the worst program. I mean, losing to Arkansas State at home.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. So, I mean, if they can just get to mediocrity, it will help the league.
But they were winning national championships under Rick Pitino.
I mean, they were winning Big East championships, they won a national championship under Pitino. Always had great players. Always a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. So they should be good. They need to be good.
And I think Pat Kelsey he's the right guy to kind of get them there.
We'll
see. It's tough. It's tough to win.
It is.
And that kind of aligns with what ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, PhD, said.
Don't you forget it.
He puts PhD in his signature, and anytime his name is mentioned, he's talking about how the ACC is underrated, how he needs to do better at marketing the program, so they don't get skipped out on in the NCAA tournament. And I think last year they got a lot of flack because he wasn't as much of a proponent for the league, and they didn't get as many NCAA invites. Your take on kind of like that whole? It seems like he is becoming more comfortable in his role and wanting to use it to benefit the ACC from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, you heard him show a little bit more personality after going through the stats of NCAA tournaments and, our programs have won so-and-so and so-and-so. To him talking about teams pulling down the league. But, I mean, he's right. He's got to go to bat for the conference throughout the year on as many platforms as possible to keep attention on these teams. So they're at least in the back of the mind of these, committees and people making decisions to get these guys in the tournament.
Yeah.
You can't just disappear. I mean, look at the Florida State situation. We never heard anything. Like,
wasn't it
gotta have a take.
He disappeared after Florida State.
I don't know if he went on like the darkness retreat with Aaron Rodgers or what, man.
It was like 3 days, and
Yeah.
heard from Jim Phillips. Meanwhile, like Florida State fans are going nuts on Twitter.
I mean, ESPN's just eviscerating Florida State like they didn't belong in there, and you got nobody to go to bat for the ACC on the other side.
He doesn't have a personality that's like that, though.
No,
He's
he
so
doesn't.
understated.
And then we mentioned it before. We don't have a Feinbaum who just every day it's something.
Maybe looking at
Yeah.
Feinbaum right there.
Yep, Josh is our best bet.
Our last hope.
Yeah.
Josh Graham here, former Big Hitter guest. Guys, make sure to rate, review, subscribe to Big Hitters Only, bringing you this content. We have Giglio coming on either before or after this. Should we go you first on the pod or Giglio?
You got to go with a Giglio, man.
The Giglio
veteran.
We had Giglio on to talk football, NC State, Dave Doran.
Oh, what a mess.
Football. So I don't know. May have him first and then you follow up. Anyway, okay, let's talk a little UNC. Obviously, this UNC fans who listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
I had Joel Berry on. That episode will air on Monday or Tuesday of next week. But my big thing is how the backcourt is going to work out. What will be your starting lineup right now?
Right now,
you're head coach.
If I'm head coach, RJ Davis, Elliot Cadeau.
Let's go in order. One.
My one, I guess Elliot Cadeau is your point guard.
Yeah.
RJ Davis as your, two guard if you still have positions in basketball. The 3 spot's interesting, man. I don't see how you can keep Ian Jackson off the floor. I really don't. I think they're going to start Jalen Washington at the 5.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, Cade Tyson, you need his shooting, but can he defend and rebound enough in that 4 spot to be in the starting lineup? So I don't know what you're going to do at the 4 spot. I mean, I would probably go with Cade Tyson at the 4. You would think.
I've heard some Drake Powell rumors.
But Drake Powell, I mean, he's getting a lot of buzz, dude. He's like top 10 draft prospect.
They say his defense.
Yeah, I mean.
He can defend 4 positions.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a hard time keeping him off the floor if he's making all these plays, without having the ball.
Can he defend and rebound at the 4 spot? I mean, he's skinny, 6'6", skinny.
Yeah.
Do you have 2 freshmen in there? Do you ease them on? Do you start Ian Jackson and then bring Drake Powell off the bench and start a Withers or Cade Tyson?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Cade Tyson's going to – because Cade Tyson's a legit 6'7". He's
a little stronger. I don't – he doesn't have the build of Harrison Ingram. But, I mean, when Ingram got here –
that butt.
Yeah, I mean, when he came in, we didn't think he would be that good, that level of a rebounder. I mean, we knew he had to be level up from what he was at Stanford. But nobody thought he was going to be, a double-double machine.
Yeah.
Like in the second half of the season. Heck, he's had more rebounds than Armando in a lot of these games.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how Cade is. I mean, they need him to be.
I mean, he can shoot it. I mean, when we watch practice, heck, I think he missed 1 3. Really? And granted, these are shooting drills, and some of it's 5-on-5 stuff, but he can make shots.
This is what we need to talk to you about. You went to the scrimmage or the practice for 20 minutes. I had to head home. What was your takeaway from that practice? This is last Friday.
Yeah.
During media day, they postponed the practice by an hour. So I left, but Rodd was there to watch the first 20 minutes of Friday's practice.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of shooting drills and a lot of secondary break stuff, but the big story out of media day was pace and what Hubert wants. I mean, he said he wants us to be the fastest team he's had. I think it needs to be for this to be the best version of the team. It has to be guard-heavy lineups, push the pace, best shot available right out of the gate. So the portion of practice we got to watch, it was a lot of up and down. Hubert just yelling his head off about push, no, faster.
Never fast.
Never fast enough.
It's good. Because they haven't done that as much under Hubert.
No, I mean, I was looking at it. Yeah. I mean, Roy, all the national championship teams were top 20 in tempo, top 10 in tempo. Mm-hmm. And Hubert's best tempo team was last year, I think 39th, I want to say. And the other ones, I can't remember, but they were just barely like top 80, top 90. So they've got to play with some pace this year to be the best version of this team, I think. They can't play the way the Roy Williams teams with the 2 big men, and, it's not going to work.
Plotting, slow style.
I think we'll see a lot more 5-out, spread them, attack, and just a lot of – I mean, you're going to still have to get rebounds and defend, but –
I wonder at times if they put – a Drake or a Jalen or a Cade Tyson at the 5.
Yeah. I mean, you can take a page out of Alabama's book.
Yeah,
That's
they don't have that length though.
No, they don't. Yeah, but I think that's they're going to have to kind of go with the Alabama formula probably
for sure. There's a lot of threes.
Yeah.
The speed of RJ and Elliott, they're just undersized, but they're going to have to take advantage.
Yeah,
of get early shots.
And I mean, Schubert, we're going to see, is he going to play this bench? Because he's got dudes on the bench this year. Like you're going to have to expand the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, does Ty
or
Claude
guys are going to leave? Yeah, Ty Claude.
Does Vanell Lubin? How much did they play? There's 4 big men. Like, is it committee?
Yeah.
Is he going to pick 2? Is it going to be one guy playing 35 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I see a rotation of 3.
Yeah.
But Ty Claude's played a lot of ACC.
Yeah,
basketball.
I mean, he had the best offensive rebounding rate. I mean, if you look at analytics in the ACC, he had the best offensive rebounding rate. And you know Carolina's always got a big emphasis on offensive rebounds. So if he can give them some of those, he can get playing time. But, I mean, they're just going to need, like you said, a committee of big men to combine for, 15 points, 15 boards out of all of them and just try to piecemeal it together. Because, well, I mean, I just think you're going to need the guards to be your scoring dudes.
Who do you think the lead scorer is going to be?
I mean, I think it's still going to be RJ because he's got so many ways to score. But I don't think he's going to have to be Superman like he needed to be in a lot of games last year.
Who do you think is going to be the second lead scorer?
That's the question, man.
I know who I think.
Ian Jackson? Yeah. I mean, he's so fast, so good. It looks effortless. And his jumper's a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
I mean, in practice, he was probably the third best shooter behind RJ and Tyson.
He's going to be such an offensive spark plug. He's going to look for a shot. He's going to hunt his shot.
He's just so fast too.
Push the ball. He's 6'5".
And super athletic. Nobody's beaten Seth Trimble in a dunk contest probably, but if you're going to pick one guy to challenge him, probably Ian Jackson. From what he was saying.
How do you think they work in Seth Trimble?
He's got to play, right?
He's going
to have to play a lot.
He may play more than Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he's going to be their best on-ball defender, you would think. And he can do stuff other guys on that team can't do.
And he's going to be better.
He's going to be a lot better. So. I mean, I would think his offense would be a little further along. And he showed flashes of it last year. I mean, he's not going to be a knockdown three-point shooter.
Never,
but he can get in the lane. He can finish. And he can create opportunities in the open court, and that's what this team's going to need. So he's going to have to play.
All right, give me a take, a little short preview perspective on Duke.
Duke, a lot of talent, man. Good Lord. Unlike Carolina, they're going to be front court dependent with Cooper Flagg and Kaman Malawach.
That's the freshman.
Yeah, the freshman, 7'2" freshman. He was incredible in the countdown to craziness scrimmage. He was like blocking everything. It was like the big kid on the playground with like all the little kids just swatting their stuff.
I'm a little worried, man.
About Duke?
Just like how good they're.
I think here's the thing.
It's intimidating.
Like if you have to look at, okay, what can go wrong for Duke? They're putting a lot of stock in Caleb Foster and Tyrese Proctor to be those guys because outside of those two guards, you don't really have a lead guard. You have a lot of good role definition players like Mason Gillis and the transfers, Malik Brown on the post, and who's the other? Sion James. Yep. They really like him as a defender and spot up shooter every now and then. But
do they have a freshman point guard or anything?
No. I mean, those are their two lead guards. Their freshman, Con Knipple, is getting a lot of buzz. Yeah, top 10 pick. I mean, he's got the old man game, like pivots, nose angles, kind of like a Reed Shepherd. Yeah. If you had to come a comparison.
His lights out.
He was their best player in the scrimmage, probably.
Con Knipple.
That's how you say it. We asked him. Wisconsin.
Yeah. That translates to
6'6". Yeah,
Knipple translates to Caucasian.
That's it. But yeah, they don't really have
so much size.
Yeah, Darren Harris. Nobody's talking about him. 6'6" freshman, knockdown shooter. Pat Ngongba, he's hurt, but he's another big man for what they can roll in there if they need to down the road. But the guards, man, Caleb Foster coming off an injury.
He didn't play much last year.
Didn't play. He was starting to figure it out when he rolled his ankle at Wake Forest. But you're putting a lot of stock in these guys. Proctor, we know how up and down he's been.
Yeah.
And inconsistency.
Proctor was good as a freshman, and then wasn't it as a sophomore.
Yeah,
and had to kind of take.
Who
was the guard that with NBA?
Jared McCain.
Yeah,
they're gonna
play behind him.
God, he was really good.
Who was the guard that went to Baylor?
Jeremy Roach.
I'm kind of it's weird they didn't convince him to stay.
Yeah,
to kind of lead this younger group.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But
I wonder what
he wanted to be. I think a point guard, and they moved him more off the ball last year and put the keys in Proctor's hands and Caleb Foster as facilitators. I think he wanted a chance. I think he's better as off the ball guard, but he wanted a chance to be a point guard again.
Got a lot of money at Baylor.
But yeah, he did. They got a lot of money to give out, man.
That's right. That's weird.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, I mean Proctor's good. I mean Broom Proctor is playing
when he's
his
playing.
best. He's quick. He's long. He's smart.
I mean, we know how it is in March, man. Guards win in March, so your guards have to be really good.
I think it's what gives hope to this UNC team is they have so much experience, firepower, ball handling, facilitation at guard spots, and they can go 4 or 5 guards deep. Like even if they have an injury, God forbid, to somebody. I mean, if
you got depth. Yeah, you got depth. You just have to use it.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about this a lot yesterday with I'm not sure if we talked about it, but the hype for Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Versus the hype of Zion Williamson. They were both kind of phenom recruits.
Yeah.
You started hearing about as freshmen, sophomores, the highlights. What's your kind of take on who had the most hype coming into their freshman season?
Yeah, I wrote about it after the media day at Duke, how the hype right now is a lot higher for Cooper Flagg than it was for Zion. Now, when Zion played his first game against Kentucky and they beat him by 200 points, it was insane the whole year. You remember ESPN had the Zion cam during these games. And people were sending out, respectful tweets on, X or Twitter about the Zion cam on ESPN.
Once Zion started playing, his star rose because of how physically dominant he was, his dunks. But coming into Duke, Zion's highlights were all these dunks against
the small private schools.
Going against like a lot of guys, like a lot of Josh Grahams out there.
Dunking on their head,
and white guys.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people forget R.J. Barrett was the number 1 player in that class.
He was supposed to be the better player.
Yeah.
And Zion was number 1 pick and so good. He rarely had a bad game.
No.
He hit threes. He blocked shots.
I mean,
his shoe burst open against Carolina.
You look down, he's like 7 for 7 with 21 points and 12 boards, and he's played like 20 minutes. You're like, what is this?
Physical domination combined with his explosiveness.
Yeah.
Of the college game. It hasn't translated because of health, weight, NBA. But Cooper, I think because he is white, he is playing at Duke.
Yeah.
And he's got that. Was he 6'8"?
6'9", 6'9".
He's like that wing player, the ideal NBA prototype.
Yeah.
He's been slotted as the number 1 pick for 2-3 years now.
Yeah. I mean, the hype has been unreal. And then it just hit a different level when he did the Team USA stuff, where he's pull-up jumpers over Anthony Davis, put-back dunks over Bam Adebayo. And all these guys are hyping him up. Yeah. I mean, you heard KG talking about him.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's got
cold-ass white villain at Duke.
There hasn't really been a white number 1 pick in forever.
No, I mean,
or an American born like all-star. There's tons of those, but like all the stars that have been MVPs in NBA are foreign these days.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of need Cooper Flagg to live up to the hype, don't we? Like, as far as American players go, because I mean, you look at the MVPs: Jokic, Giannis, Joel Embiid. I know he played for Team USA, but he's a Cameroon guy.
Yeah,
wasn't born here.
And who's the guy for Dallas?
Luka and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's Canadian. But we need an American star to rise.
And he's made for it. He's very signed with New Balance.
He is. And I mean, he's not flat. He's not like Zion where you're going to see 360s and these ridiculous dunks in the open court. But he does everything so well. Like, you could look down. I don't think he'll average like 22, 23 like Zion did. But he can have 16, 9 boards,
blocks.
5 assists, 3 steals, couple blocks. I mean, he just can do everything.
And Duke has so much shooting too.
Yeah.
With
Concanipple, their best shooter. Sion James can knock it down a little bit. Darren Harris, he can hit shots with regularity.
Where is he from?
He is from Virginia.
He's a freshman.
Paul, Paul Catholic School there, where they've gotten a couple of guys. Yeah, Paul LaFort, Trevor Keels, and Jeremy Roach.
Okay, yeah.
The pipeline.
I haven't heard that guy's name, Darren Harris.
He's probably their best pure shooter.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see defensively. If you don't play defense, you're not going to play.
I think another factor with Cooper is his name. He's got a cool name.
Yes, it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
it's like a video game name. Like you're creating a player, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the hashtag going to be for NBA draft on him?
Flag goes first.
Flag goes first. Well, capture the flag.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a cool name flag. It's all I can say there. I mean, I'm excited to see Duke play. I mean,
I think they're going to be the favorite. I picked them first in my poll. Carolina's second, and Wake Forest probably third. I think the Deeks are going to be good too, man.
Wake the Nation.
We need Steve Forbes to make the tournament. This is the year.
Yeah.
Hunter Salas.
5th year.
I don't know.
I think it is.
I think,
made the tournament 4 years.
I mean, he's had some bad luck with guys leaving early too. I mean, Jake LaRavia was not supposed to be a first-round pick, and he leaves. But I mean, you got Hunter Salas back, who has a chance to be an All-American. So you have to make the tournament this year. No excuses. No excuses.
Yeah, he's funny. I'm gonna get credentialed for Wake and hopefully go to a couple games out there. And I mean, he's a good character to cover.
He is. He's great for the league, but you still got to make the tournament. That's what it's about.
He speaks his mind. He doesn't have a chin. So excited to check out Wake over there in Winston-Salem. All right. Anything else? Any chop last night at the bar?
Good times, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get to see each other. We don't get to see all the
characters.
Except like
a lot of weirdos. A lot of weirdos. It's
tough.
Andrew Carter always describes the UNC beat back when it was very fertile as like the Star Wars bar, the cantina.
Oh, that's a good one.
A lot of aliens and weirdos. You got
Mos Eisley,
good pull. You just have a lot of weird personalities, a lot of antisocial people. Just these sports writers and radio people. It's an odd collection.
They just want to crank out content, man.
I know.
But I want to crank out content and have fun.
Yeah.
And mix it up.
So at these ACC Media Days for football and basketball, usually like, if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday thing, there's a bar night Tuesday and Wednesday on the ACC's dime.
Some heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. But football has been great in the days past. They have an open liquor bar, beer.
Yeah. See, I missed the football this year. I just came in for the UNC State. Duke were the same day. So
21 or 22 or whatever. But last time was fun at Charlotte Beer Garden. Watched the Mets advance.
Metropolitans,
man. That stuff is off the record that we talked about.
Yeah.
Me, Brendan, and Andrew Carter were on a crazy tangent after a couple beers. That stuff,
as one does.
Yeah, that stuff will never reach.
What's your take, man? What's your biggest hot take for the ACC this year?
It's Cooper Flack.
Yeah.
It's Duke's. I mean, not even him. It's the 7-2.
Undefeated in the league. Is that what you're saying? 18-2, 17-3.
I think it's Duke's loaded freshman class and what they can be nationally.
Yeah.
I do think it's intriguing adding Cal and Stanford. It's just so weird. SMU. I talked to Andy Enfield. What's cool about not having to cover UNC as much this year and being more of a fly on the wall and
national perspective.
National perspective, not a big deal. I've talked to almost every coach that I wanted to. I didn't stop for Clemson or BC. We're gonna skip Notre Dame.
Micah Shrewsbury, great coach.
He's great. Yeah, he's killing on the recruiting trail.
I mean, he's got that reputation, man. Everywhere he's been, like they love him.
But it's cool to talk to these coaches, and you get to talk to them like almost one-on-one. We had Andy Enfield, me and 3 other reporters. Who else did I talk to yesterday? Kyle Smith at Stanford.
People love that guy.
He was great.
Came from Washington State, I think.
Yeah, I think when I was talking to him, I said Oregon State.
We make mistakes, man, and move on, right?
Dude, he was great. I had him one-on-one for a little bit and then 2-on-1. And so you're really having a conversation with these guys, whereas with you around Hubert or John Shire or Kevin Keats, you're trying to get a question in.
Yeah.
Tony Bennett, talked to him today.
Packed out.
Yeah, you're just trying to get a question
What
in.
Tony had to say, man? Are they going to play faster this year or what?
I mentioned that a little bit. That was kind of a talking point that people were asking. They're coming off with a rough season. A couple of these teams are coming off rough seasons.
I'm getting a lot of flack for Virginia. My pick on Virginia. I think they're going to be like 9th, 10th. Yeah, I mean, I put it out I always do predictions. Yeah, article like, here's my preseason first team. Here are my projected league standings.
Who was your predicted first team?
R.J. Davis, Hunter Salas, and Cooper Flag. I think if people don't have those 3 on there, they need their credentials revoked. Like, those are the 3 best players in the league, probably. And then I had Ian Shefflin, man. Not a lot of love for the Clemson big guy.
Oh,
but I think he's going to be really good.
There's no more PJ.
No more PJ Hall.
PJ Hall.
And who did I have? I had a Louisville player in there because I think they're going to be really good. Terrence Edwards from James Madison.
It's hard to pick 5 players from 18 teams. But I think,
I mean, the Stanford guy's really good. Maxime Renaud. He's supposed to be really good, so he could be a candidate.
It's harder and harder to be an all-ACC player.
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of good players, man. But, we need these teams to be in the tournament. We need like 7 or 8 to make it this year.
For sure. That's all I got. I mean, what we were talking about before the all ACC ranking stuff. Yeah, talking to all the coaches.
Tony Bennett and
Kyle Smith was
Virginia,
great.
yeah.
Tony Bennett, yeah. I mean, you can ask him a question. He's very analytical. He thinks it through. He delivers it well. He's handsome. He's getting a lot more grays than
Yeah, I mean, he's the second longest tenured coach now behind Coach L, Jimmy Larinaga?
No, Leonard Hamilton's longer, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, God, we always forget about Lenny Ham because he doesn't look. What is he? 75? Doesn't look it at all.
Yeah, he was great to talk to. He kind of tells it as it is. I mean, he's like,
no, he is. Yeah.
And then Miami was not here, but I think that's all we got here. We're gonna have we'll have Rodd back on. Maybe we'll have you on a couple times during the season.
We'll have some fun, man. Should be a fun year.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I'll be at some UNC games. I'll be at some weight games. Always good to see Rodd out there.
Good non-con schedule.
Yeah, UNC's got a great. You're trying out to Kansas.
Definitely got to get Allen Fieldhouse, man. I mean, that's one of the meccas. Like, you got to get there.
I know. I want to go. I got to see if I can swing it. And then, how do you plan your schedule? Because Rodd covers State, Duke, and UNC. Do you cover Wake?
No, we don't cover Wake because, I mean, it's out there in Winston-Salem. I mean, it sucks. You want to show them love, but we don't cover them unless they're playing one of our triangle teams.
Yeah. So how do you plan out your schedule? Is it just the big games?
As far as me traveling for road games, I just basically go to the big non-con games. Because in the ACC season, we always have somebody at home. So I just go to the best home game that week.
You'll go to 2 games a week.
At least 2 games a week. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
So you're going 3 games a week.
Probably, yeah. Basketball.
You love it.
It's fun, man.
Way more.
We have to way more. Not even close.
Rodd's a basketball guy.
I told people, man, when UConn cut down the nets in April, I was already ready for basketball season.
Yeah.
We know how football goes here, and we always know it's the same story. It's always going to play out the same way. 7-8 wins.
Are you going to be in the press box, Keene Stadium?
I will be there. Georgia Tech, baby.
Why are you doing that?
Well, we got the blue-white game afterwards, so
right.
we get to check out the basketball team for the first time in front of a live audience, live action.
That's right. I think I'll be there as a fan on Saturday, and I'm gonna pop into the blue-white game, but may just sit in the stands. All right, Rodd, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Always fun.
We'll talk to you next time on Big Hitters Only, guys. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, engage, follow. We need to get our numbers up here on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We'll talk to you next time.